Yeah, look, I'm an AI optimist. I have psychologists, counselors, naturopaths, dietitians, acupuncturists, like a huge team around me. I think it's going to be a really interesting time. I don't think we're going to see any of the major platforms going away.
Welcome to Inspired by Success, the podcast where I deep dive into the mindset of successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and thought leaders. Get ready to be inspired and gain valuable insights to unlock your true potential.
Transform your financial future with this episode sponsored by KE Financial Services.
Guys, prepare to be inspired. Today, we have a true entrepreneurial powerhouse in our midst. She's not just a founder and CEO, she's a visionary at the forefront of talent, media, and technology. With a track record of founding and leading successful ventures, her journey is a masterclass in resilience and adaptability. She started her entrepreneurial adventure at 21 years of age, challenging norms and shattering glass ceilings in the world of modeling. She's not just beautiful, she's also got the brains. Fast forward to today, and she's the driving force behind groundbreaking platforms connecting creative talents and businesses. She's had the foresight of influencer marketing way back before it became popular. But here's the twist. She did this all solo, proving that the path to success doesn't always require a business partner. She's not just a business maven, she's a thought leader in entrepreneurship, innovation, and business. Our guest knows firsthand how to navigate the storm, overcome challenges, and emerge even stronger. So whether you're an established business owner, an aspiring entrepreneur, or someone simply seeking motivation, get ready to be energized and inspired. Our guest today is about to share her remarkable journey and insights that will inspire you to embrace challenges, redefine success, and ask for help when needed. Without further ado, let's dive into the world of entrepreneurial genius, the extraordinary Taryn Williams. Welcome to the show, Taran.
Oh, what an intro. Thank you so much. I don't know if I can live up to that. Thank you for having me.
So inspiring. Taran, your journey to becoming a successful entrepreneur is really, really amazing. Can you share some pivotal moments in your experiences from your early years that shaped your resilience and determination? And where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from?
Oh, I actually had a lovely childhood, a really interesting childhood. I traveled a lot and lived overseas and moved around. But comparably to some other people, I certainly didn't have a difficult childhood or anything like that. But certainly I think moving and living internationally, I grew up in Fiji, certainly gave me a lot of that resilience and tenacity and having to adapt to different scenarios, make new friendship groups, really learn how to read a room, I think, and probably gave me a bit of a high risk appetite as well in taking on new ventures, because I sort of saw that I could apply myself in different scenarios and different challenges, and I guess that it would all be okay. And I guess probably having such an amazing family and support network, they always gave me that security that if anything did happen, I always had their sort of support to fall back on and their love to fall back on. And I think that's a really amazing foundation to have going into any line of work, I think.
Beautiful. And you were able to exit the right fit and the influences to international acquirers. What key lessons from these successful exits can you share with our audiences, and any tips to go about selling a company and finding the right buyers?
Yeah, so I definitely think if you're going to sell a business, or a lot of people start a business with the goal of an exit in mind, one of the things that I think was really important was probably starting before we were ready to sell and really starting to put some of that groundwork together in terms of who would a potential acquirer be, who would a natural new home be for the business, what would make strategic sense, what would the sort of deal need to look like to make sense for me and our shareholders and our team. And basically since day one with the right fit, I'd kept a document on my computer of potential acquirers, of people that I thought would be the great perfect home for the right fit. And so when we did decide to go down an M&A process and formalize that, hire an advisor, blah, 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 it was much easier because we sort of already had, firstly, we had all of our IMs from our Series A and B rounds. And then we already had this great list together that really helped give our advisors a clear picture of the industry landscape. And there was probably 150 targets on there. And so it made it really easy for them to go, oh, okay, we maybe hadn't thought about traditional advertising holding groups, for example, or we hadn't thought about comparable marketplaces. So it made the process a lot easier. Obviously, it is incredibly time-consuming process and takes a lot of heavy lifting from all involved. I was very fortunate to have an amazing board who had two people with extensive M&A experience, and our lawyers were incredible as well. And this is sort of their bread and butter M&A experts. So that made the journey a lot easier.
Did you find that when you have funding, Series A and B, do you find that there was a lot of pressure as well in terms of when the expectations that you deliver a high profit margin revenue? Did you find that was a lot of pressure pressure on you at all?
So when you bootstrap a business, obviously you are completely in control of your own destiny. You're self-funding it, and you can choose to grow faster or more organically. When you raise capital, obviously you're bringing people onto your cap table, and you have promised outcomes and deliverables, and that's what they have invested in. They've invested in your journey, but also a very clear financial model and KPIs and projections that you've presented to them. And so, I take that very, very seriously. And of course, it does make things much more intense because you don't have, I guess, the option of missing targets or having slow months. You are really focused on delivering that end goal. And the goal is usually to have the business in a position where it can raise another round of capital. And to do that, you don't want to be raising a down round. You want to be in a position where you've delivered on the targets that you'd set, you've met shareholder expectations, and that you've got that really clear proof of concept and sort of next goal that you're working towards. So it does come with benefits and disadvantages. Obviously, the benefits are that you have fantastic people around the table. We raise strategic capital, so people who could add a lot more value just outside a capital injection into the business, which really helps. So, they could open doors, they could add a lot of skill set and expertise that we wouldn't have been able to get access to otherwise. But it certainly does add an additional element of sort of pressure and stress on a day-to-day basis.
But you did well with the exit, so congrats on that. And in terms of building and scaling businesses, it often requires effective leadership. So what leadership qualities and principles do you believe are essential for success in entrepreneurship?
Oh, that's such a tough one because so many people have different leadership and management styles. I think transparency and visibility is really important. So giving people access to the data, making it accessible, and helping them understand how their part of the company or their role delivers against the overarching business success. So in all of my companies, all my team have full P&L transparency, which freaks some people out, but I think, they're good people. I hired them for a reason. We're on a journey, and hopefully they can see with that full visibility and trust and transparency, they can see, okay, this is my part of the role. I need to deliver. If I can increase our number of daily active users by X%, or if I can reduce churn by Y%, that is the flow-on impact that's going to have the business and help us get to the goals faster. So look, I think building a collaborative culture where people are not afraid to speak up as well, and that they feel trusted and that they've got autonomy to go and work and deliver results. And then I think they've got a really clear idea of what the company vision and goals and values are, so they know the direction that you're running in are probably the key things.
I like it. Trust and transparency. Obviously, a lot of communication as well. So as a founder of Gifted, you've delved into influencer marketing and brand collaboration. Can you share insights in the future of the influencer marketing strategies, especially for startups looking to make an impact?
Look, I think it's going to be a really interesting space over the next 5 years with all of the developments in AI, especially. I think you're going to be able to get more and more granular and targeted in how you reach particular audiences. But I also think that consumers are going to be met with an onslaught of content. And so they're going to be grasping for how do you find authentic testimonials and reviews and build trust and credibility with a customer when there's this AI generated video and static content to sort of wade through. So I think it's going to be a really interesting time. I don't think we're going to see any of the major platforms going away. I think we will probably see the development of some new platforms. I don't know what that will look like, but I certainly think it's very likely that we'll have new entries into the market. And I think all of the platforms will continue to innovate as well. So I think, you've seen fantastic innovation from LinkedIn. Instagram are always releasing new features and better functionality and new matching algorithms and ranking algorithms. And, TikTok has done some incredible work in live shopping. So I think there'll continue to be platform developments. And I think influencers and creators and brands will continue to adapt to meet the needs of both the customer base and the functionality and features added by platforms. So it's going to be a really exciting time. I think it's going to be very challenging for everyone to be able to keep on top of everything that they need to do to be able to maintain that authenticity and quality of content in the face of this onslaught of AI generated content.
What are your thoughts on AI? Because you mentioned the technology, there's videos, and sometimes it might not be like an influencer with using AI. I'm just thinking the future looks incredible. Some people are hesitant about AI, but some people are embracing it. So are you leveraging it with your companies? Are you using it to help with efficiencies? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I'm an AI optimist. I do think that it's going to have obviously a lot of short-term disruption, and I like to think that it'll be jobs accretive. I think we will see more opportunities created by AI than we do see lost. But I do think there is going to be an interim period where there is an immense amount of disruption, and obviously not just in our industry, but in all industries. So I think it's really important for all businesses to get across what the impact and opportunities are for their sector through AI. For us, it's really about understanding generative AI, number one, and how brands might be able to integrate that into their marketing funnel and where it makes sense, from visuals, from copy, SEO, things like that. And then also just understanding the speed of development of things like matching algorithms and things that would have been very laborious and time consuming previously to roll out. Now that there's so many off the shelf solutions, how we can better apply those and be more creative in the solutions that we're using internally and externally to sort of best deliver results for both sides of our marketplace and just sort of more broadly in the industry. So it's a very exciting time, but I think it's a lot to get up to speed with. And I think, it's developing at obviously such an exponential rate. I think it's really challenging, especially, in startups, to keep abreast of all the things that you need to be doing anyway, let alone sort of adding another thing to your plate. The wonderful thing these days is there's so many amazing, short courses online, free information, YouTube videos, getting access to that information. The barrier to access has come way down. So I do think, like anything, the first step is knowing what you don't know and then trying to go out and fill that knowledge gap. So I would highly recommend that as a first step to anyone who's thinking about, what the AI opportunities or threats could be for their business.
As a business owner, I embrace AI. I think it's so exciting. There's just so much developments coming in the AI space for content creators. It saves so much time and efficiency with editing, for example, coming up with scripts. Like, it's a game changer. So for me, I'm definitely an optimist as well.
Yeah.
Now, we know that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Have you experienced moments of doubt during your entrepreneur journey, and how did you overcome them?
Oh my gosh, on a daily basis. Absolutely. I still do. And I think it's a healthy thing that drives entrepreneurs as well in our sort of quest for success. I certainly, never got to a point where I was like, right, I've nailed this entrepreneurship thing or have nailed this particular business or this particular field, and sort of a constant quest for learning and development and self-improvement. So look, I definitely have had moments where it's probably been more prevalent than others. And I think that that's usually when you're at a precipice of sort of personal development and growth as well. And I think that it's partly about having the right people around you from a team perspective, but also mentors, advisors. I have psychologists, counselors, naturopaths, dietitians, acupuncturists, like a huge team around me who sort of support me on this journey. It's certainly not something that I do alone, and who have been with me long enough and they're privy to sort of repeat behavior patterns or challenges along the way and can sort of call me out on behavior as well and call me out on self-limiting beliefs and things like that. But also be there when you do lose that perspective and you're like, oh, is this a good idea? Or, oh, I'm doing a terrible job at this. And they'll, really step in and say, hey, you've got this, or this is a great idea, or hey, look, the numbers reflect this, so don't lose perspective. So I think having those people around you is really important.
Wow, that's great that you've got all these people surrounding you and supporting you too. So do you have any mentors or podcasts or books that you recommend and follow?
Yeah, I've got amazing mentors, and I've been very fortunate throughout my whole career to have had people around me purely organically that I've met, through meetings, through reaching out on LinkedIn, through a warm introduction from someone who have then gone on to be such a formative part of my journey. And I think having those people around you is really important because generally they're people who are much further along the journey than you. They have that pattern recognition. They can see things before you will be able to see them because they've been there, they've done that, they've walked those roads before. So it's incredibly beneficial. But also I think it makes the journey more enjoyable and it sort of interweaves that professional and personal growth piece, which is really important to me. I would listen to a whole ton of podcasts. I listen to The Daily from the New York Times just to get a little bit of a news update on a day-to-day basis. I listen to a bunch of podcasts in the sort of tech and media landscape and self-development things. And then books as well. I'm a big fan of autobiographies and biographies and across a huge range of different sectors. I just love understanding sort of what drives people, what motivates them. And again, it's probably trying to look for some of that similarities and comparable experiences to sort of project similarities in journey and paths that I might be experiencing. So that's probably how I get my information and support.
I totally agree with you. I think podcasts that I listen to, I get inspired by these people and the stories, and you just get nuggets of wisdom from podcasts and listening to mentors as well. I see them as my mentors as well. So I'm still on a path continuously of self-development. I think it's great to constantly be learning as well. Let's talk about money management. So as a successful entrepreneur, how would you manage money, and what advice do you give startups looking to optimize their financial strategies?
Oh, I mean, having amazing people around you in this area is essential. I learned managing cash flows really early because my first business was completely bootstrapped, and we paid all of our models within 7 days, irrespective of the payment terms that our clients were on. So we were bankrolling, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of payments every month. So I had to learn about managing cash flow really early. I started that business at 21, and I already had a fairly decent idea about managing a basic P&L, but I had to get really good at financial management and financial literacy really quickly to be able to make that business work. And then in building the right fit, obviously it was a much more complex beast, a much more robust financial model, a lot more drivers, and it was venture capital backed. So it had a finite runway and burn time. And it lost money for a long period of that journey while we were building out and growing the business and raising additional rounds of capital until it got to cash flow positive. So that was much more about understanding, again, what were the levers and the drivers of the business, and any investment, what was the likely opportunity for growth? Like, where would we apply that investment in terms of whether it was headcount or marketing spend or sales tactics, and being able to try to measure the effectiveness and what the return on investment was going to be, because you need to obviously project the long-term viability of the business, and down to managing things like the cost to acquire a customer, all of the common sort of e-com ones, and lifetime value of a customer and all of that. So learning and understanding that and getting really good at it from very early in the piece was important. I think it's not something in a business you can outsource. I meet a lot of founders who, and this is by no means disrespect, but I meet a lot of founders who don't understand the underlying metrics or financials of their business. And I think not that you have to be an expert in it. And by all means, I have an amazing CFO. I have a fantastic bookkeeping team. I don't purport to be able to go and cut my own entire financial model with complex macros or anything. But I do know how to drive a model, and I do know how to use one to operate a business, and I understand the underlying metrics. And why I think that's really important is, as a CEO or a founder, you need to be making tough decisions, usually on a day-to-day basis. And if you can't project what the impact of those decisions are on the financial health of the business, it's really hard to make accurate decisions. So if you add an additional headcount cost, what is the projection in terms of the cash flow impact? When are you going to run out of cash? What is the projected impact that person's going to have on new customer signups or whatever it might be? So just being able to make those decisions and feel empowered to understand the impact of them, I think, is really important. So it's not fun. For many founders, it's not fun. It's not the creative part of the job or the exciting part of the job, but I think it's such an important part of the journey.
That's incredible. Like, that's a skill in itself. Did you learn that over time, or was it a natural part of your experience? Because there's a lot of founders that have had failures as well.
Look, I mean, I modeled and had to manage my own cash flow and understand a basic sort of P&L of my own operating business from about 15. And my parents instilled in us a lot of good financial literacy from a young age, and really spoke to the importance of that for us from a very young age. And then, operating a business from 21 with staff and turnover and headcount and operating expenses. And it really was just a forced requirement to be able to get across that and understand that. And certainly there's things that you pick up over time, like the complexity of tax structures, and that can benefit the process. But for me, I guess it was mainly through osmosis, but also having really great CFOs and people around me who could help with that process and make sure that I had the information that I needed and could understand it and operate with it.
Surround yourself with great people. Yeah. And in terms of challenges and failure as a part of entrepreneurship, can you share any major challenges that you had, and how did you bounce back from it? In terms of what advice can you share and inspiration to other entrepreneurs facing similar setbacks?
I mean, I think you have them on a day-to-day basis. I think it's always just a balance of how big and how small the challenges are. So, I mean, I certainly think I made some really bad hiring decisions along my journey. I've made bad strategic decisions along my journey. I've had things that were challenges or failures purely because of particular times in, whether it's economic downturns. We launched our New Zealand offering with the right fit literally days before COVID. There's so many things like that are sometimes within your control and sometimes outside of your control. We'd just done a big marketing push in Wink Models, one of the other businesses, right before the bushfires. That was straight into the back of COVID. And, obviously that's a person-to-person business. It relies on people being able to go physically to photo shoots. And so obviously it was really impacted by COVID. So I think there's always a challenge in business, and it's about, I think, learning to keep them in perspective and understand what's within your control and what's not, and what's urgent versus what's important. And I think this is where that big piece of resilience comes from. And I don't know if that can be taught. I think it's just, I think even Taryn Williams 5 years ago is so different to Taryn Williams now, who I'm sure will be so different to Taryn Williams in 12 months. It's just purely skinning your knees over and over and over again, and having, a bunch of challenges and missed opportunities or failures, and then reflecting on those and go, okay, how would I do it differently next time? What are the key learnings out of that? And I also think, again, having people that put that in perspective. I've recently just been working through some big challenges in one of my companies, and having a mentor, an advisor, and non-exec board member who I can talk these things through, who has been through much bigger challenges and operated companies with thousands of employees, who can really workshop those things and keep it in perspective and give you those sort of nuggets of advice and tangible sort of key takeaways that you can go and implement on a daily basis. So I think it's also about having the ability to ask for help and raise your hand when you're struggling, or when you're stuck, or when you're not quite sure how to tackle something. I think has probably been one of the things that has served me best in my career.
Great that you can just ask for help and you've got the support there too. Now, we know that the entrepreneurial path can be mentally and emotionally taxing. How do you prioritize your mental health and well-being, and what advice do you offer to other entrepreneurs facing the pressures of building a business? Because it is, sometimes there's burnouts, like long hours involved. What advice can you give to other entrepreneurs?
Just don't do it. Just like, isn't it?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No. Look, it's certainly, I just don't think I could do anything else. I think this is, what I've never had a job. This is kind of what I do. So, but it is certainly an incredibly challenging journey. And I often reflect and tell people like, when you look at entrepreneurs and you go, well, the number of hours and pain and blood, sweat and tears that they've invested in that business or that idea. And it's a lot. Like, are you sure you're willing to go down that path? And it comes with a very real cost, on your relationships, on your friendships, on your health, on your mental health, your physical health, and, the very real opportunity cost of not doing other things, like whether that's other ventures or having a nice, comfy $250,000 a year job with 4 weeks annual leave and sick days. Like, you don't get that as an entrepreneur. So look, I think it has some incredible upsides. The highs are really high, but the lows are really low. And I think probably firstly being aware of that and knowing that you're not alone. It's not just you. It's not just your journey that's sucking. It's, kind of par for course. And I think making sure that you have the right support network around you to survive those times, and strongly recommend having a really good support network of professionals who can be, whether that's psychologists, counselors, personal trainers, massage therapists, acupuncturists. It's so important to have a robust network and framework around you, just in the same way that you support your business. I always say, usually a lot of key man dependency in entrepreneur-led businesses. If there's key man dependency in your business, then it's really important that you take care of yourself and that you maximize the opportunity for success of the business by maximizing how well you take care of yourself. And it's not always possible to do the simple things like get 8 hours sleep a night. Like, unfortunately, sometimes there's periods in business where you are working until 2, 3, 4 a.m. and that's just sort of par for the course. But taking care of yourself in the best way that you can so that you can survive those short-term, really crazy times is so important.
How do you take care of yourself, Taran? Do you practice mindfulness, meditation? What do you do?
I wish I said I did. I've fought it for a long time. I've been to 8,000 meditation training programs and downloaded all the apps and gone on away retreats and everything. I do a lot of yoga. That really helps me. I do a lot of Pilates. I exercise every day, and I do a lot of long walks. I do a lot of walking meetings. So I frequently, where I can, any meeting that doesn't require intense note taking or presentation sharing, I will do it on a walk, especially meetings with mentors or advisors where it's really just about workshopping a problem or talking something through. And so that really helps. Firstly, it gets you out of the office. You're out in nature, you're getting some sunshine on your skin. And I really let go of the guilt of outsourcing things as well. So I'm very happy to outsource cleaning, cooking, anything that I can that makes my life easier, I will outsource, except that it is worth the financial hit to make my life a little bit easier. So anything that I can do to take off my plate in that sense is, I think, a worthwhile investment.
Yes, because time is just a valuable asset that you can't get back to. So I totally agree with you there. If you could go back into time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh gosh. I mean, definitely enjoy the journey a little bit more. I was really focused on the outcome and the goal and the end goal, as opposed to like taking stock every single day of like the little micro wins along the way. I think I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Definitely to get out of my own way. I'm probably still am a control freak and really wanting to own and touch and be across like every single thing in my businesses. And that's limiting because you only have a certain amount of capacity. And so probably being able to delegate more and better and get out of my own way so that things could scale without me. And probably being a lot clearer on earlier in my journey on what brought me joy, and not doing things just because it was the right thing or because it's what I felt like I should do or had to do. Probably being a lot clearer on things that really brought me joy and that I really enjoyed, and dedicating more time and energy and effort to those things would have probably improved and changed my journey a little bit.
Nice. Now, looking to the future, what are your professional or personal goals, and how do you plan to continue making a meaningful impact to the world?
Well, I'm supposed to be on sabbatical at the moment, which I failed miserably at. So next step is definitely taking a sabbatical. Hopefully early next year is the goal. And then just being able to work on projects that I really enjoy and I think I can add meaningful value to. I have a pretty niche domain skill set in a particular area now. And so I love working in startups. I love this industry. I love working with other founders. And I think having a portfolio of things that I work on and boards that I sit on that allow me to add value without being executional and really keep me engaged and also keep me learning, because this industry, number one, is going to adapt and change so much. And it's something that I really want to stay plugged into. But two, I just think that more broadly on a macro level, we're going to have such exponential change in business over the next 12, 24, 36 months. So I really want to ensure that I stay a part of that. So that's sort of the ideal goal, is to be able to have a portfolio of things that I work on with great people that motivate and inspire me and that I learn from on a day-to-day basis, and with the flexibility to be able to do those in a way that works for me. So that's the next goal.
That's beautiful. How do you define success?
Oh gosh. Look, I don't know. I think probably as I've got older, my definition of success has changed. I think it's probably for me now about finding a more meaningful and holistic life that gives me the ability to do the things that I want to do. It's never been for me about a financial outcome or hitting a particular revenue target in businesses or exit target in businesses. It's really been more about bringing an idea to fruition and seeing it come to life has been the key driver for me. I think probably if I reflect, definitely, my definition of success maybe 3 years ago is very different to now. It's much more about having a truly fulfilling life across a number of different areas that brings me joy. So a much more holistic picture of health, of love, of connection. I think the thing we all look back on is the importance of connections. And, you only know when you lose them, when someone dies or a friend moves overseas or whatever it might be. And that's really, really important to me now. So fostering and developing and spending time on those meaningful connections, both with commercial colleagues, but also with friends and loved ones and family and partners. So that's probably the definition for me now, is something a little bit more holistic and a little less commercially focused.
That's beautiful. Very inspiring indeed. Finally, where can people find you and follow you?
So I'm just Taryn Williams, Taryn Williams, on all platforms. So it makes it nice and easy. So LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, same username. So feel free to keep in touch, connect, and let me know what you're all doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. It's been incredible and super inspiring, and all the best for your next ventures and sabbatical, and hope you have some time off and get a very holistic approach and work to your goals.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much.